So, good day, ma'am. Good day, classmates. We are the group 4, and we will going to tackle about the Rizal's life, which includes his exile, trial, and death. Next slide, please. So, together with me is Mr. Elidan Baugbog, Judal Bancairen, and me, Danica Castro, and Resurrection Sheen, and lastly, Miss Tubil Ana Rose.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, classmate. I'm Rizal and I will be talking about Rizal life in Kapitan from 1892 to 1896. So, first, wins a lottery in Manila. On September 21, 1892, Rizal won the second prize in lottery together with Ricardo Carnicero and another Spaniard. His share amounted to 6,200 pesos. A portion of Rizal winning was used in purchasing land approximately 1 kilometer away from the Pitan in a place known as Talisay. Lottery is the vice of Jose Rizal. This was his only vice, said the Spaniard's biographer Wenceslao E. Retaria.
So the idyllic life of in the Pitan. So since August 1893, the members of his family took returns visiting in him. So order to assuage the loneliness of isolated outposts among the were his mother, sisters Trinidad, Maria Narcisa, and nephews Jodosha, Stanislao, and Mauricio Prudencio. So he built his house in seashores of Talisay as well as school, hospitals within this area. So next. So Rizal also had positions in the Pitan. So Rizal practiced medicines in the Pitan. So he had many patients, but most of them were so poor that he even gave them a pre-medicine. So Rizal fame as a physician, particularly as an eye specialist, paved a way to patients from different parts of the Philippines, from Luzon, Bohol, Cebu, Panay, Negros, and Mindanao. Nung bale sa pag visit ko sa Dapitan, andun pa rin yung mga yung mga tools na ginamit sa sa position niya, kaya katulad ng mga sa tools sa mata, kung paano niya chine-check, andun pa rin yung mga gamit niya sa Dapitan, sa sa Rizal, dun. Next. So, Rizal also do a community project wherein he spent many months in draining marshes in order to get rid of malaria that infested in the Pitan. So he also helped the people in putting a lamp post on every corner of the town, which is lighting system which consists of coconut oil. Diba yung parang siya, parang gasera siya, pero the use of coconut oil. And then he made a big relief map to Mindanao and Plaza and used it to teach geography. And he discussed to the town people the position of the Pitan in relation to other places of Mindanao. Next. So artistic works in the Pitan. He contributed his painting skills to the Sister of Charity, who were preparing the sanctuary of the Holy Virgin in their private chapel. So these are the some sculpture of Jose Rizal, no, the Mother's Revenge. From my research, no, yung yung the Mother's Revenge, parang siya, parang yung there's a crocodile, tapos yung crocodile kinain yung yung puppy, and then yung mother nandun sa likod ng crocodile trying to save yung puppy. Yun. Then the second is the Pitan girl. Parang sculpture siya na parang mukha lang talaga siya ng batang babae. Tapos yun. Then the third is wood carving of Josephine Bracken. Next. So there's Rizal also contribution in science. So during his 4-year exile in Dapitan, Rizal built up collections of oncology, which is consists of 346 shells representing the 203 species. So he also discovers the rare specimens were discovered and named after him. Among these were Draco rizali. So Draco rizali is a small reptile also known as flying dragon. Di ba pag sa atin pa yun, so sa Bacano, tinatawag yun siyang tambilihan. O yung parang ano siya, butik siya sa isang sa puno, tapos yung lumilipad siya papunta sa kabilang puno. Yun. Then the second is Apogania rizali. So, isa to itong little beetle or sa Tagalog ito ay isang salagubang yung mostly na nakikita natin sa mga tahi ng tahi ng baka, yun. And then lastly, the Rhocoposaurus rizali. So, parang siya, harlequin crab, subtropical. Usually, siya, nakikita siya sa mga basang lugar, sa moist, yung sa mga lower waterland. Yung paminsan, may siya, iba't ibang kulay siya. May green, and then yung may brown. So usually nakita natin yung brown, paminsan tinatawag natin itong pachanak. Yun. Isa yung siyang Rhocoposaurus rizali. Yun, next.
Next, Rizal as an educator. Rizal as an educator, he established a school for boys in 1983, which existed until the end of his exile in July 1896 in Dapitan. These pupils did not pay any tuition. Instead of charging them, Rizal he made them work in his garden, fields, and construction projects in the community. Rizal taught these boys reading, writing languages just like Spanish and English, geography, mathematics, arithmetic, and geometry, industrial work, nature study, morals, and gymnastics. And outside the class hours, Rizal encouraged them to play games. They had boxing, wrestling, stone throwing, swimming, harness, native fencing, and boating. Rizal established his school for boys in Dapitan. Rizal had young male students that he affectionately called chicos or boys from his Dapitan community school that he established while in exile. Next slide. Rizal and Katipunan. Andres Bonifacio, the great plebeian, was showing the seeds of an armed uprising. The secret revolutionary society called Katipunan, which he founded on July 7, 1892, was gaining more and more adherents. Dr. Pio Valenzuela was sent as an emissary by Andres Bonifacio, the leader of the Katipunan, to seek Rizal opinion and approval of an armed rebellion against the Spanish authorities. Rizal was outrightly opposed to the idea of an armed rebellion. For him, the Filipinos did not need to wage bloody revolution to gain independence. He believed that Filipinos were not yet unified and fully educated, and that the Katipunan lacked the machinery to defeat the Spaniards at this point. Rizal was hoping for concessions and reforms from Spain. Next slide. Other contributions of Rizal while on exile in Dapitan. So, these are the contributions of Rizal while he's in exile. These are the followings. First, we have water system in Dapitan, linguistic studies, Rizal as farmer, Rizal's invention, and volunteer as a military doctor in Cuba. Water system in Dapitan. With the help of his students, that which he taught during his exile, Rizal saw the constructions of gravity water system which delivered through bamboo, clay, and brick pipes. The one located within Rizal's property in Dapitan, which is in Talisay, yung kung saan niya binili yung pinanalunan niya na battery. Second, we have linguistic studies. Rizal During his exile, Tapitan Rizal increased his knowledge of language and he studied three more languages like Malay, Visayan, and Subanon on April 5, 1896. He wrote to his Austrian friend, Professor Blumentritt, I know Visayan already and I speak it quite well. It's necessary, however, to know other dialects. So that's why he studied more language while on his exile in Dapitan. Next, Rizal as farmer. So, yung pera na pinaluno niya sa lotteries, bumili siya ng isang hectare, bumili siya ng 16 hectare dun sa abandoned farm by a shore of Talisay. Yun yung Talisay. A barrio near Dapitan where he built a permanent home with his students and some laborers. He cleared the area and planted cacao, coffee, coconuts, and fruit trees. During his exile on land in the coastal barangay of Talisay, he planted rice and corn also, and vegetables, and raised chickens. Next, we have Rizal's invention. Rizal invented or created a cigarette light called in Dapitan, community set the tone and pace for technology driven progressively Philippines through a multi-farming system supplied with his irrigation designs to make it productive. And lastly, we have volunteer as military doctor in Cuba. Rizal was able to end his exile by getting approval to serve as a doctor in Cuba in support of Spain. With a heavy heart, he left Dapitan with the whole town standing in tributes as his vessel sailed away. Lumerit advised him to volunteer as a medical doctor. Heeding his friend's advice, Rizal sent a letter to Governor General Ramon Blanco in December 1895. The letter contained Rizal's offer to work as a volunteer medical doctor in Cuba. Next reporter.
So, good afternoon once again. Trial, the journey of Jose Rizal to Bagong Bayan from his last homecoming to his trial. Together with me, Miss Shin Resurrection to explain more about the trial of Jose Rizal. Jose Rizal left Dapitan on midnight of July 31, 1896, boarding the steamer Spania. So, on the midnight that day, umalis na si Rizal sakay ng barkong Espanya. Ito yung second trip ni Rizal papunta ng ibang bansa because his first trip is going abroad just for vacation and to continue his study abroad. But his second trip abroad was different because it is not unlike yung ginagawa niya nung first trip na papunta siya ng ibang bansa. On August 6, 1896, he missed the mail boat to Spain. So on August 6, 1896, nakarating na si Rizal sa Manila Bay. But unfortunately, hindi agad siya nakabiyahe papuntang Spain dahil naiwan siya ng barkong sasakyan niya sana papunta ng Spain. So yung barkong sasakyan niya sana is the Isla de Luzon steamers. So therefore, he was transferred to Spanish cruiser Castillas and stayed there for a month from August 6 to September 2, 1896. Days before the departure of Katipunan was betrayal or August 19, 1896. So on August 19, 1896, ang Katipunan ay naglungsad ng revolution against Spanish government because nalaman ng Katipunan or na-discover
It was discovered because Mariano Hill with Teodoro Patino, may isang miyembro ng katipunan na nagtraidor dahil naikwento niya kay Father Mariano Hill yung about sa katipunan na they plan to overthrow the Spanish rule on the Philippines by the means of revolution. So si Father Hill, nagpunta siya sa higher official para magsumbong sa secret organization. So at least there were 4,377 people arrested. Bonifacio himself and the leader escaped to a hiding place. So on August 26, 1896, Andres Bonifacio and the Katipunan raised the cry of revolution. So ito na yung sigaw ng Pugad Lawin. It is the beginning of the Philippine Revolution against the Spanish. Dito na din pinunit ng Katipunero yung kanilang sedula. Governor General to the Secretaries of War and Foreign Affairs in Spanish, Jose Rizal departed for Barcelona on board the steamer Isla de Panay. So back to Governor General Blanco proclaimed a state of war in the first 8 provinces na naglungsad ng revolution. So what are those places? First, the Manila, Bulacan, Cavite, Batangas, Laguna, Pampanga, Nueva Ecija, and the Tarlac. So ito yung mga 8 provinces na nabanggit ko, sila yung kauna-unahang naglungsad ng revolution against Spanish rule. So, if we're going to look on our Philippine flag, there are 8 rays of sun. So, yung 8 rays of sun, ito yung represent the first 8 provinces in the Philippines na naglungsad ng revolution against the Spaniard. The special military court summoned Rizal to appear before them. So, eto na yung kinakasuhan na si Rizal kasi according sa siya daw yung nagpasimuno ng revolution. So only granted reached Manila and he was locked in Fort Santiago. So on November 3, the Colon arrived in Manila Bay. Yung Colon is ito yung barkong sinasakyan ni Rizal galing Spain. And Rizal was taken to Fort Santiago sa may Intramuros at doon siya kinulong. They tortured Pasiano because they want to sign the document that would incriminate his brother and connect him to the revolution. So next reporter, please.
Preliminary investigation. So, on November 20, Rizal was appeared before the judge, Advocate Colonel Francisco Olive. So Rizal was subjected to a grueling 5 days trial. He answered all questions thrown at him, but he was not allowed to confront his accusers. The court has been presented two kinds of evidences against Rizal, namely documentary and testimonial evidences. So, next slide. The documentary evidences consisted of 15 exhibits. First is a letter of Antonio Luna to Mariano Ponce, dated Madrid, October 16, 1888, showing Rizal's connection with the Filipino Reform Campaign in Spain. Second is a letter of Rizal to his family, dated Madrid, August 20, 1890, stating that he deportation the deportation are good for they will encourage the people to hate tyranny. Third is a letter from Marcelo H. del Pilar to Diodato Arellano, dated Madrid, January 7, 1889, implicating Rizal in the propaganda campaign in Spain. Four is a poem entitled Kundiman, allegedly written by Rizal in Manila on September 12, 1891. Five is a letter of Carlos Oliver to an identified person, dated Barcelona, September 18, 1891, describing Rizal as a man to free Philippines from Spanish oppression. Next is a Masonic document dated Manila, February 9, 1892, honoring Rizal for his patriotic services. 7. A letter signed Dimasalang, Rizal's pseudonym to Ten Luz or Juan Zulueta's pseudonym, dated Hong Kong, May 24, 1892, stating that he was preparing a sage refuge for Filipinos who may be persecuted by the Spanish authorities. 8 is a letter of Dimasalang to an identified committee, dated Hong Kong, June 1, 1892, soliciting the aid of committee in the patriotic work. 9. An anonymous and undated letter to the editor of the Hong Kong Telegraph, censuring the banishment of Rizal to the Pitan. 10. A letter of Ildefonso Laurel to Rizal, dated Manila, September 3, 1892, saying that the Filipino people look up to him, to Rizal, as their savior. 11. A letter of Rizal II, dated Manila, 1893, informing unidentified correspondent of the arrest and banishment of Diodato Cortes and Ambrosio Salvador. 12. A letter of Marcelo H. del Pilar to Don Juan Aten Luz or Juan Zulueta, dated Manila, June 1, 1893, recommending the establishment of a special organization independent of Masonry to help the cause of the Filipino people. 13. Transcript of speech of Pinkian by Emilio Jacinto in a reunion of Katipunan on July 23, 1893, in which the following cry was uttered: "Long live the Philippines, long live liberty, long live Dr. Rizal, unity." 14. Transcript of speech of Tiktik by Jose Turiano Santiago in the same Katipunan reunion, wherein the Katipuneros shouted, "Long live the eminent Dr. Rizal, death to the oppressor nation." And lastly, a poem by Loong Laan, which is Himno at Talisay, in which the author makes the Dapitan schoolboys sing that they know how to fight for their rights. Let's proceed to testimonial evidence. So, Testimonies against Rizal were given by Martin Constantino, Aguedo del Rosario, Jose Reyes, Moises Salvador, Jose Dizon, Domingo Franco, Deodato Arellano, Pio Valenzuela, Antonio Salazar, Francisco Quizon, and Timoteo Paez. Rizal, however, did not know and had not met most of the people included in the list. Governor General appointed Capitan Rafael Dominguez to institute charges against Rizal. So gumawa si Capitan Rafael Dominguez ng report about the charges na ikakaso kay Rizal, and it was sent to Governor General Blanco, and General Blanco forwarded the report to the judge for his opinion. So there was 3 charges of crimes against Rizal. First one is the rebellion, second is the sedition, and third is the formation of illegal associations. Rizal had to make the choice for his defender. So his choice were limited as the list of possible army lawyer was provided for him. So on 8th of December, Rizal was given the list of 100 lieutenants in the Spanish army. On one name in the list stuck his fancy, Don Luis Tavel de Andrade, who was actually the brother of his former bodyguard, Jose de Andrade. So, after all accusations have been read, Lieutenant Luis Tavel de Andrade took the floor and read his eloquent defense for Rizal. So, he ended his defense with a noble but futile statement for the members of the court. Next reporter.
So the last will be the death of Rizal, which include his execution. So at 8:30 in the morning of December 30, 1896, Father Balaguer lead a mass for Rizal once again, made a confession and received the communion. So at 6:30 in the morning of December 30, 1896, Rizal in black suit with his arm tied behind his back walked to Bagumbayan at 5 a.m. He ate his last breakfast and autographed some memorabilia. And Rizal and Josephine Bracken was canonically blessed as a husband and wife by Father Balaguer. Up to the last minute at Fort Santiago, Rizal defied orders from his captors as he was instructed to face the sea and turn his back against the firing squad. But Rizal wanted to do otherwise. Instead, he faced the firing squad to show his innocence of the charges thrown at him. But the Spanish authorities forced him to face backward and shot him at the back instead of the head. So upon hearing the squad commander's shout, which is "Al fuego" means fire, Rizal turned to face the firing squad. The shot at the back allowed him to turn his body sideways and fell on the ground with his face upward. Rizal's last word, as that of Jesus Christ, was "Consummatum est," or it means it is finished. So that was the actual photo where Rizal died. Rizal died offering his life for his country and its freedom. His death sparked the revolution in the country against the Spanish government, which ruled as Las Islas Filipinas, or now the Philippines, from 1565 to 1896. The Philippine independence struggle turned more violent after Rizal's death. It was led first by Andres Bonifacio and later by Emilio Aguinaldo. Rizal's death filled with rebels with new determination. So Rizal's life offered profound lessons, particularly from his exile, trial, and death. So these events underscores the importance of standing up for one's beliefs, even in the face of adversity. Rizal's commitment to social reform and his willingness to endure the persecution exemplify the power of peaceful resistance and the courage to challenge injustice. His life teaches us the value of education, critical thinking, and advocacy for positive change, inspiring generations to strive for a better society despite of obstacles. So in summary, Jose Rizal, a Philippine national hero, faced exile, trial, and ultimately death during the late 19th century. After being accused of inciting rebellion through his writings and activism, Rizal was exiled to Dapitan, Mindanao by the Spanish authorities in 1892. Despite his confinement, he continued to contribute to science, education, and community development. In 1896, amidst of growing tensions between Filipino nationalists and Spanish colonial rules, Rizal was implicated in the failed Katipunan uprising. Despite his non-violent stance, he was arrested and brought to trial on charges of sedition, rebellion, and conspiracy. During the trial, he defended his beliefs and actions eloquently but was ultimately sentenced to death. So on December 30, 1896, which was as considered as Rizal's Day, at Bagumbayan, now also known as the Luneta Park in Manila, Rizal faced a firing squad and was executed. His martyrdom fueled with flames of the Philippine Revolution against Spanish rule, eventually leading to the country's independence in 1898. Rizal's legacy as a writer, intellectual, and nationalist endures as a symbol of Filipino identity and resilience. So that's all. Thank you.